Hello, everybody. My name is Jared. I will be your Lunch and Learn host for today. We have a couple of questions that we'll go through, and then after I go through those questions, we will open up the floor to any other additional questions that someone may have. So the first one of three that we have, let me go ahead and open that up. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see. I go up here. All right, so the first question we have is how to create how to clone a user action. That's the first one that we have. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up my local for this so we can take a look at it. So cloning a user action. So many times we will have some case entities or some entities that have a configuration folder tied to it. So I have this case entity that I created a while back for a previous Lunch and Learn, which also has an entity associated with it. And oftentimes we may build a user action flow. So we'll say this is test action. All right, and then I can use this, and I'm just going to have a simple show pop-up for it right here. And then test. And then test, right? So I just have a simple user action that whenever I look at this specific entity, I will be able to just run this action. And if I run the flow, right, it will ask for an ID. In this case, since I'm just showing a pop-up, I don't need that. And I can display that here. But now the question is, what if I want to copy or duplicate this to use for another object or case entity? There's no direct copy, meaning that when you right click, you can copy the flow, but anytime you copy this flow, it's only tied to this specific data type. So in order to have the best use for copying, if there's certain types of logic that you want to utilize, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. Let me add just a couple of placeholder steps to mimic that I have like lots of logic going on. Let's say I have something intelligent happening here. Right, and let's say there's this logic that I want here that I want to use for another user action. Well, what I can do, there's two ways. The old way is you can create these, you can group these and save these as a template, and then create that template of steps, and then move it to your new action. Or a thing that I really like is in a newer version, I want to say it's 8.11, might be 8.12, to one of those two versions, we have added this specific action called create subflow. And when we click on create subflow, it just asks you to give this a name. So this is going to be my user action, logic. And I can create this, and then boom, it puts everything in a subflow. Now, if I want to go and copy this now, because I don't want to just use this user action logic in this case, in this just entity, I actually want to use it in the case entity. I can go ahead and do so by clicking on the case details configuration. I can now click on user action to create a new one. And this is my new user action. Now click create. But then what I can do is now I can search for my flow, my user action logic, and copy it and place it here. So that's how you can do some type of copy functionality. There's no direct copy for across different data types, but this is a way you can get the same behavior and save yourself some time. All right, so that's the first question we have. The second question that we have is about a drop-down list. So I have a drop-down list that consists of full names. I only need a letter of the first name and the last letter of the last name. Okay, is there any way I can do that? I've tried substring and character positions, but since all names are different, it doesn't really work. Good idea. All right, let's walk through this. So there's a couple things you can do here. I'm just going to create a new folder for this. So let's create this, and this is going to be called getting first character and last character. Let me open the chat. Sorry, first letter of the first name and the first letter of the last name. Gotcha, first letter of the last name. Okay, cool. So there's a couple of things you can do. This may work. Here's an idea. Let me create a quick form that has some information. This is going to be my form of names. Let's see. There's two things you can do. There's one. If it's just a specific what is it, data type, well, not specific data type, if it's just strings that we're dealing with, and this is the first perspective I'll talk to, I'll make this static. I have my name. I lost my typing. I have let's see, Jared. Who else could it? Sabrina. If I can't spell her name. I think it's how I spell her name. So you have a static. So you're saying you have a static text of these people. So your static text Jared. So it's Jared, and then you go dash, like trainer. That's how you have it in the text box, or you just have it as first name. I'm going to set you up as audio so you can talk. Because if this is your setup, I would say you should refactor the setup because that's going to be very messy. Typically, what we would do here is you would create a flow structure of a data type. If you have multiple pieces of information like this and say, hey, this is flow structure is, maybe, employee object, right? And you're going to have first name, last name, and then title as 3 separate properties. You wouldn't really combine properties because then that's going to make like manipulating this in the flow really difficult.
Jared, I'm sorry. This is
Yeah.
Manal. I can do just first and last name, but that's how I have like in the beginning. I can take out the title. I'm just getting confused if I can only do it with just the first and last name too.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. I can show you that part. So if it's just this is easier to deal with. I'll show you the other way. But the easiest way is if we have this right here. So I have 3 names, and I don't think I added a button. Perfect. I added a button. Now what you can do, because I'm assuming the problem, and confirm for me this, the problem is, right, everyone's name is different lengths, right? My name's longer than Sabrina's, and
Yes.
Will's is longer than all of ours. So gotcha. So there's this cool step. That's going to be test flows stuff. And then I'm going to add form names, my form of names. Haha. Don't you just love it? My naming is great. All right. So have a simple form, pick a name, boom, all that stuff. Now, what you can do is you will use the character position one, right? Which I think you mentioned in your comment you do. So we're going to say get character. I know it's here. Strip character. Character. Character is equals strip characters. There's a split by character. And let's see, I don't want to see how this works. I think this one, you would have to use multiples of these, I think. Constant positions, I'm just gonna say 0. Oh, I could do it that way. That would be pretty cool. Sorry, I'm like thinking out loud of like how this could be pretty cool. So if I debug this, and let's say I select Will, right? I should get W, and then the last part is position true. Oh, wait, I only looked at the input data. Silly me. So we got at position 0. Wait, split string by character positions. 0. So let me make sure that I didn't add any spaces. Oh, well, the first space would be empty. That's interesting. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. So let's debug this. So we're going to take this in pieces. So I just want to get the W of Will's name, right? So when I use the split string, my character positions, I should be able to say 0 and get in the first position the W. That's not happening. So what I think is happening is I have an extra white space in that text. It's just because it's in a drop-down list, right? It's actually Jared Rodriguez, and then we have a new line character, Sabrina Lyerla, new line character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this text, trim string. And what the trim string should do is it should remove any extra like white spaces or new line characters. We'll see how this works. And then we will get the trim string output here. And then I debug this. Let's see if this changes anything. So I'm expecting a W. We should have two things, a W and that. I keep looking at input. Let's see. And no, we're still getting that white character space. So let me do this. Let's say it's 1. So if it's not that, I'm going to say, let's use 1. And then that should just get us the W. I think the character thing, okay, perfect. So in the character, okay, so that's a good thing to know. So in typically a lot of indexes just start as 0 as the first character, but whenever you use this step, it's 1. All right, so now we got the first letter, right? But now how do we get the second letter? And this one, you can do it one of two ways. You can have it, you will need to have it, you will have to get the character length of that string. So there is a step called get length, string length. Because, right, the bigger germane problem is everyone's name is different. So with that, we can use this step to say, hey, I can get the first one, and we'll output this as, right, so that's going to be the first character. So we'll say this is the first character list. I know it has other stuff, but this is just for my own naming and nomenclature. And then we could say, hey, let's get the string length of the, so we got to get it's the initial, the last name initial, correct?
Yes, the first letter of the last name.
First letter of the last name. Oh, we can make it easier than that. Okay. So what I can say is we can, okay, I think I got a better way to do that. My mind's slowly thinking on how to do this. So I'm assuming we can split the string by a space. Split string. And I'm going to grab the source selected. And then the separator is going to be a constant, and I just type space. So now what we should get is Will and Pedersen. So there's two separate pieces of text here. So now you can run a for each loop and loop through it to get both of those initials now, because now all you have to do is for each step. I think that would be the fastest way. List of objects, splitted string by the space. And then for the next path, split string. Nope, this should be that by character position. Wrong path. And then what you can do is you can say a constant of 1, because you're only looking at the one position. Sure, we'll leave that as true. Select the source. We're going to go to the, I don't think I added data in here. I did, okay. Oh, I'm on the wrong path. Silly me. Done, next, there we go. Item. And so then what you can do is you can then store that somewhere. So I'll just do a show pop-up just to illustrate the logic. So now what you'll see here is now every time it's going to say initial, and then I'm going to select from flow, and then I'm going to grab the first split character string by character position 1 by the first one, because that should be what's splitted. And then if we debug this, and I'll grab Will, and then you see I have W and P, and then if I run this again and I grab Sabrina, I should get SNL, right? SNL, there you go. So that would be the best way to do it. Any questions over this?
Yes, quick questions. I'm sorry. So it's kind of related to it. So I'm trying to get it on for example, I'm creating a unique number and then I use a next ID and then so I would use a output of just the split string by character 1 because that's how they want it. For example, they want the first letter, the first name, last letter of oh my God, first letter of the first name, first letter of the last name, and then a year. So I would just do merge HTML text. So it's going to be like MM 2023. No, 2024-09 because that's the month. So if I'm trying to
Gotcha.
do
Okay.
that, I would just do March HTML text and just put the text from there,
Yeah,
the
you could do
output.
that. Yeah, the best part would be to you'd have to store that from somewhere,
Okay,
like place that data in a in a create data step or add it somewhere else. But this is the logic to kind of get it to split
okay,
and get those characters.
awesome. Thank you so much. This helps a
So
lot.
good. I can also export this project so you have it, and then you can adapt it so you don't have to rebuild this logic.
Yes, that would be great. I appreciate all your help. Thank you again.
My pleasure. All right, I'm going to export this real quick. Can you post your email?
Sure, I'll go ahead and edit.
This way I will send it to you and I won't forget. Boom, open up email, compose. Duh, duh, duh. Perfect. Boom. All right, here you go. Attach, zip. There you go. Should be sent. If you have any trouble, let me know.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Great questions. I like those questions, the ones that let me build. They're so much fun. All right, another one. All right, we got another question. For reporting numbering, is there a way to have the numbering continued when you're looking at a page? At the moment, each page of the report is numbered at 1. Let's see. So I believe the answer is yes. I was actually talking with someone earlier today about this. This one specifically is a designer setting. So we're gonna have to go into your designer studio. You're gonna have the settings cog right here, and then you're gonna go into settings, and then there specifically is in designer studio settings. If you type number, I think you have this ability to change the grid. So instead of resetting on every page of the report, you can say, hey, just continue the numbers on the report. And this setting should get you the behavior that you're looking for. So it's not just kind of continuing or resetting back to the first number as it's previously configured. You can have it where it just says, hey, continue numbers on report. And then you click save, and then you should be good to go. Any other comments or questions, Sonali?
Nope, that worked. I just did it perfect. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. We got a Q&A here. Ooh, okay. Sorry. So that's okay. I love questions. Is there a way to trim zeros from the get next ID, or is it just a constant? Any way to trim the zeros? There's no default way to trim the zeros. What you could do, let's see, getting characters. I'm gonna go back to this flow that I created. The get next ID step that Manal is referencing is in our integration and internal services category of decisions. We have this ID generation service that you can utilize to generate a human readable ID. We have a default one that says generate, I think it's like generate GUID. But the problem, or it's not really a problem with this step, is just this just generates like an actual GUID. So the output of this is not very, like that's just, you don't want to give this to someone and be like, hey, can you look at my purchase request? That's 1 echo 2097998 dash echo alpha bravo alpha, right? So it's not a human readable one. So that's why in decisions, we also have in our ID generation service, we have an integration, internal services, ID generation service. And specifically, get next ID. And specifically, this one is what's being used. And this one just gives you a prefix. And so let's say this is JR. And then when I debug this, it will automatically have zeros, see JR001. So the question is, can we remove these zeros? And let's see. Get, this is ID generation, get by folder ID, get next ID with pad. What's this? It may be this step. that allows you to do that. I could be wrong. Let's see, you can convert that number into int and get the number from that string. I'm not sure you could do that. That would work. I do think you can also do, let me play around with this step. So get next ID with pad. So I think if we do the length, I guess it could be, I guess this just actually sets what the length is. So if I want the length, the padded character to be zeros and the prefix is JR. When I debug this step, let's see what happens. So that would work if you just want it to be that. But what happens if I'm going to do a little test here? Because I'm curious what happens if I have lots of IDs with that. Will it incrementally go up? So we're going to do a little funny test. This is the fun part of decisions because you can create little experiments just to see how things work. So I'm going to do a for loop where I just generate a ton of IDs because I'm curious to see what happens with the padding. Should I? And I should make this easy for myself. I should. So here's what we're going to do. Yes. We're going to create a little experiment. So I'm going to do that form of names. We're going to do this on the done path. Add item to list. Add item to list. We're going to put this in here. It's going to be a string. Our original list, in this case, because we're using a loop, I can reference that new list again. And then for the select from flow, I'm going to grab the, let me rename this. Okay, this is the get next ID with padding step. And then I should have, okay, cool. New item. That's the wrong item. There we go.
Jared,
That's
if
the
it
right.
helps, I just need like the 3 digits. Like for example, I would need like MM0923, but 001 rather than the 5 zeros. I mean the 4 zeros. So just need the 3 digits in the end.
And then if you just want 3 zeros, this will work because if you use the get next ID with padding, then you can tell it to only use a certain amount of padding with those zeros, right? So if you just want 2, then you can just say, hey, we'll do the simple experiment.
So will it like add numbers to it? So for example, if I go MM001, MM003, MM005, or will it just always stay zeros?
It would always stay zeros until it gets to that
Oh.
next incrementer, right? So, and that's what my test is. I'm actually curious to
Gotcha.
see if I say no padding, like the test that I'm running right now is like, hey, if I say no padding, no zeros, and I have JR1, right? And let's say I go all the way to 100, will it say JR100 like this, or will it just error out? That's
That
what I'm
makes sense.
curious about. Yeah, so
Yes.
this test should show me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to populate that in a form. And let me go ahead and edit this because I have to say this is from a data name now. We'll say list of IDs. Yes, I know, and that's okay. So list of IDs, and so I'm just going to reference that new list of IDs that I create. New list, boom. We don't know the selected, and we're going to run this real quick for like 105 times. Let's see how this works. Let's see, JR. Let me debug. Da, da, da. And look at that. So it looks like you can use this step to say have 0 padding and 0 characters, and it will just incrementally go up if you want that behavior.
Awesome. That is perfect. Thank you. So like, for example, even if I get to 200, it will just keep adding the numbers.
Yeah, we can do that test right now. Let's do it. I like it. So for loop, instead of 105, we're doing 200. Let's do 205, right? And so I run this, and it should like add to the pre-existing one that I have. And yeah, looks like it goes all the way up that way. 300. Perfect.
Awesome. So if, for example, if my first request is, and if it's JR, so it will be like JR001 and then 002, 003 until like anytime, as long as you're clicking that flow and it's running, right?
Yeah, and it has this prefix. If I change the prefix to something else, then it will restart, right? So if it's MM, it's going to say MM1, MM2, because it's going to segregate it by, that's a different prefix.
Okay, gotcha. Because they always want like 2, what is it? Like they always want 3
2
digits,
zeros?
like Yeah, they always want to start from like 001 to 002, 003, and then end up wherever they can. Would
Gotcha.
that work?
Then
with
in
them?
this step, yeah, so in this step, I'll show you these
Mhm.
properties here. So then it would be this. So I'm actually change it to SL for Sabrina.
Okay.
So we can actually see it. And let's just only run 50 of these, just so you can see how that works. Bump, bump. Actually, let's do 100 because let's see if that padding actually goes into the next or if it always maintains that. We can go to 100. So this length is 2, padding characters 2, SL. Okay, sweet. Then we're gonna run this. And then, so we have 01, 02, and then 03. So yeah, so it looks like it'll maintain that padding, but since the second padding is used by a character, it goes up.
Okay,
So
so if I
yeah,
want to just add one more zero, it will be 3. So like 001. Then
I believe so. So let's test that out. Add
thank you
3.
so much, Jared. This helps a lot. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, my pleasure. This is the fun part of decisions when you're like, oh, I don't know. Let's just test it. Let me change the prefix and let's go to, we'll do Will Pedersen. Just so we start at 0. And then we can go all the way up. 001, 002, perfect. Yeah, so you have to use 3.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And
That
then I'll get you the
makes.
desired.
Thank you so much. Can you send me the export of that too whenever you have a chance, please?
Yep, you read my mind. I was about to do that right now. So
Thank you
let's go
so
ahead.
much. I
I'm
appreciate
actually
it
going,
again.
yeah, my pleasure. I'm actually going to remove this project association so it's different. Export, remove from project. Actually, no, it's the same one. No, we're gonna keep it. Continue, continue. But no, that's. Oh wait, oh I know what I'm gonna do. Let's change the name. Oh, because they got the same ID. Hold on a second. I'm trying to make it so it's nice and organized. So when you import into your environment, it won't like overwrite. 1, 2. Perfect. And we're going to getting first character. We're going to let's make sure because that will do remove. I want to okay, here we go. Edit copy form. Perfect, we got it. And then edit copy flow. I think this one I have to change. Yep. Let me change the form setup here. And we're gonna say this is edit pick create form. We're gonna pick existing copy. That should have the same thing. And this is the new flow. Perfect. So now I can move these two things. Oh, still part of the project though. But that's okay. Copy, copy. We're gonna move entities. This one's recent. We move that there. Perfect. And now let me remove the project association. Yes, I want to remove from this project. Oh, perfect. Yeah, remove both. And then export. And this is gonna be. And then project dependency, export, boom. And then I get another email coming at you. No, there we go. Haha. I think I already downloaded it twice. That's okay. No. Did it work? Nope. Come on, File Explorer. Drag and drop. Put it on there for me. And let's see. Perfect. Here you go. Number 2. Oh, why does it have 2? Only one's fine. Perfect. All right. Just sent it your way, and I should have it. Yep, my pleasure. All right. I'll open up the floor to anyone else. If anyone else has questions, feel free to ask them.
Sure. Can I ask
Mhm.
you one more thing? I am so
Yeah.
sorry. I brought like all the questions with me.
That's
But just
fine.
like random questions. So we have like this project where on the report or on the dashboard, every month they want those requests to be kind of removed. The ones like only the month request should be there. So for example, that's what like the ID was I was saying for the unique number. So they have like MM 230909 is September, and then
Mhm.
their number like 001. And so in that on the dashboard, it only should show 09 requests right now because we're in the September, but for the next month, it should show only the 010. You think that's even like possible with decisions or no?
Like you want to have a complex ID that's got like 09?
Not really that. It's just like I'm trying to create a filter on the dashboard that only allows that month request to be shown on the dashboard. So for example, September month, whatever the requests were submitted in September should show on the dashboard, nothing from the other months. And then it gets
Sure.
refreshed.
Gotcha, with the next month?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I think I can actually. Yeah, go ahead.
and then also the same thing with like the IDs, they also get like kind of like refreshed. So like for example, we just do MM09 and then it gets to 10, which I kind of did it because it's a current month. It will always take the current month. It's just a dashboard part I'm getting confused on.
On the dashboard part, yes. So I think I have a cool little dashboard I can show you. Let me just get it prepared real quick. Let me find this report. Okay. Come on. I just want to see the report that this thing's on. Yeah, so it sounds like, so there's two things I'm hearing. First thing is, can we filter on a date in decisions? The answer to that is absolutely. We can definitely do that. Hidden. Here's a report. I think it's all the way on the bottom. Nope, it's not all the way at the bottom.
Jared, I can only still see the same screen, the copy of test flow stuff.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm gonna pull it over real quick. I just want to make sure I have the thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Page. Where's the reports? If not, I could probably create one real quick, just kind of illustrate it. I just thought I had a dashboard that's already configured. Yeah, that is. All right, I think I got it. 1 second. Sorry. Hidden. And then I want this one. We're gonna go to, let's edit this page, go to this page. And then I want to edit this report. Monthly, and okay, perfect. Monthly. That's what I wanted to know. Register. Oops, that's not what I'm looking for. All right, monthly. Perfect.
But like the twist, I think it's like it's based on that unique ID that I'm gonna create. So it's just gonna check that if it has 09, just show for September. If it has not 09, if it has 08, then it should just show for August. That's where I'm getting like confused. How do I do that? Based on that unique ID that I'm creating on the dashboard.
So you don't have a date field? Everything wants to be by the ID sourcing, or is there no?
So
Because
like
we can do that. I'm just wondering if maybe if that would be the best way to do that. Because in this flow, so I'll start moving on the screen. Because yeah, what I was going to show you is I have a report that actually just has a date field that does that. But it sounds like you want to do it from the string perspective. So right.
Yes. So for example, I have this like unique processing ID that I created just like we did with the username. So it's like MM since my first and last name, first letter, MM 2023, which is just 23 and 09 and then 001 since it's a first request. So on that base of that 09, that current month, it should only filter on the dashboard, only what should show that month request, if it is even possible. If not, then just the current months.
Well, both of it, that's possible. So I'm gonna go, let's design that real quick. Because what we can do is I'm gonna just attach this over here. Let's remove this. It's just here's the kind of here's the, okay, let me create some real quick. This is gonna be better if I just create a little mini project real quick. So create folder, this is gonna be filtering data on ID, right? Filtering data on the ID. So if I do this, and if I create a flow, this is gonna be my flow. And then I'm going to create I'll create an entity. This is going to be a very simple entity. Entity. And this is going to be, I'm just my IDs. My IDs. And this is going to be just we'll say this is the custom identifier. Custom ID is what I'll call it. Right, so that's going to mix. And then I'm going to create a folder. Storing my ID. Data. I'm just creating that folder because this is an entity, and every time I create an entity, I have to store it somehow. Okay, so if we want to create something, so if we create this kind of custom ID that we generate, and we already figured out integration, internal services, and then we're going to go to ID generation service. And we'll do fillable pad chart. We already know that we want the length to be 3, but with that length, the padding chart is going to be 0, and with that length, we know we're going to have a prefix tied to it of, yeah, that would do it. So let's do JL, and then we want the current month, you're saying?
Yes, it's 2023, so it's just 23, and then so JL 23 since we're in 23, and then 09.
Okay, so we want that to be dynamic. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to save this. Get current date without time. The thing that so whenever we come through a custom design, I'll kind of walk through my thought process here. Whenever we try to design something, we always want to think of two things, right? Is something that is scalable, meaning that we only have to design it once and it will do the same for every time, and we don't have to change it. So I'm trying to refrain from utilizing any constants, because if I constant hard code 2023, then when next year rolls around, it's going to say 2023. So that's why what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the current date without time, because I don't care about it. I just care about the not the end of the month. I want the month. So let's say we'll go do the year. I think the best we can do is, where's year? Year's here. Year. And then I can do, I don't know, maybe not a dash, but I can do month, which will give me the number. And then now if I do that, let's debug this once so we can see what we get. And so now what we get is 2023-9. Oh, that's the input. That's not what I wanted. Input output. So I get 2023-9-001. So the difficulty of having, unless do you want like a hyphen or something to split it by, or is this like kind of like the output you're looking for?
Something similar to that. They just don't want any hyphen. I tried.
Okay. Because the
They
hard
want
part
like
of
the whole string.
okay, because the part that you're gonna have difficulty with is let me run a couple of iterations through this and store some data in my ID generation field. It's going to be, yep, my IDs. And I only and then and this is going to be select from flow. Yeah, with that pad, custom ID. And then this one, custom ID is just, nope, I'm doing something wrong. Custom ID, it's the same thing for this test. So if I through here wanted to, you could remove the 20. Because I think that's what you're saying, right? You want to remove the 20 and just have 23.
Yes. Sorry,
We
I
could
was mute.
You're fine. We could strip the characters and just say, hey, for the year, not the characters. There's I mean, is it? I thought there was another like strip text. Okay, I mean, yeah, that would work. So we could say character strip 1 and 2. And then the input we should get from here. So I'll be taking the year. I'm gonna have to convert it. Okay, no decisions automatic converts. And now let's just test before I create this ID. So now I think what would happen is I would get 23 out of here. 20, I got 03. What's the input here? Oh, I need 0, 1. That's why. It's 0, 1. And then we have 0 and 1. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm messing this up.
I think it's 1.
No. It's grabbing. I know what I'm doing wrong. It's stripping it's not reading this as a character position, it's reading it as the individual character.
Mm.
So if I strip, so instead of strip characters, where was the last step that we did? Not strip characters, but split character by index. Split character by character position. That's what I was looking for. It was using the wrong step. Strip characters means like I'm gonna like remove that specific character. So that's why the 0 got removed and the 2 got removed. But what I want to do is we're gonna utilize this step again. Positions, and we'll say 1 and 2. Now we should be able to remove. So now we got 23 here. Aha, because we're removing splitting. So now all we have to do is over here, instead of the prefix, we're going to say, hey, let's select, oh wait, I got to connect it back up. So now the hard part, the difficulty. Okay, so we got this part. Select data field, and we're going to delete that one, and we're just going to grab split characters, but we're going to grab the last because the last is going to have what we're looking for. I'll say this is JL. Let's see, or actually we'll do GR. I don't know why it's new lining. GR, split by character position last, and then we're going to grab the, oh, what was the other one? I just totally forgot.
Year
Got it.
and the month. So 09.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So I have to
Yes.
go here and then grab the month. Okay, so now I have the 23 month. All right, and then when I go to the next, create my IDs. Okay, that should write that. All right, so now I probably should test this further. So I got 23. The next ID that I would have is, okay, 23,901. So here is the difficulty. So now that I've created this, right? So I have that data there. If I wish, I think I probably could create I can create my own custom data. All right, let me generate my own custom ID real quick. So that's the one that's generated. But if I have one where I just create an ID, and we're gonna call this, right? So this is gonna be JR 23 9 and then 001. If I did it here. But let's say this is, I'm gonna say this is like an old record. Let's say that I've submitted this record last year just for sake of filtering. Right? And so, oops, custom ID. Let's make this 20. So 20, I submitted this, let's say year of 2022, September. It's my first request. We're going to debug this. Now, if I run a report over this, this is the part that's going to be a little iffy. Report filtering over entity data. I'm going to grab my custom IDs, entities, my IDs, my custom identifier. All right, so I have one from Greg, right? This is, let's say I'm viewing everything from it. And I want to filter this. So if I had a filter, I want to filter by that field. And we're going to go to my custom ID. You could create a custom filter to do it that way. So you have a filter. So if you want to filter on the year, is that the filtering one?
The month. So we
You want to filter by the month. Okay, so if we want to filter by the month, so we can say that it contains. Ooh, I should change that one to then 10 because that would be fine. Because then I would say substring it. Yeah, that's gonna be the difficult part. Let me see if I can create. You can create. I think in this circumstance, you would have to create your own custom rule to troubleshoot it, to filter it, and you could say, let's create a new filter. It's going to be an if statement, and we're going to say filter ID by month is what we'd call it. And then I think we have access to. Okay, so then what you can say. And it's going to be, the input's going to be like some type, is the ID. Custom ID. And we're going to say that not the length of the character. That's not dynamic, that's the thing. You got to create multiple filters for that.
even if the month changes every single time, because
Mhm.
whenever if I put in an ID next month, it will change it to 10.
Oh, okay, so we can say,
So just
I
the
think I could,
current month.
yeah. Can we merge plane? I'm just trying to see where we get that information. Create a date constant. We get in real constant flow data, you can get the date time.
Okay.
Literally from here, and that could give you if the contains. It's the only difficult thing is the year's not going to have that chopped up rule. You could, yeah, go ahead.
I think somebody said equals in converter for the value and get current year and month
Yeah,
in format.
that would work. Actually, yeah, that would work. So yeah, so what Vitali is referring to is equals, and then you can run a converter, and then you can create your own converter to get it in the format that you're looking for. Yeah, that would actually work. So I think converters get capitalized. Aren't you? I think you're also allowed to pick your own, right? Can you pick your own? You don't really want to edit these converters because they're the default ones. Let me clear this. There we go. Yeah, run converter and you can create your own to get that format off that ID string. So I think if I click this, I'm gonna say this is get my converted data. And I believe this would take in your ID, or actually you won't need to. Then you can just say, oh yeah. You can just say get current data. Basically, you would do the same steps that I did earlier. You get current date without time, or you can use the substring format current date and that would get you. And basically, what this is going to turn into, just to kind of keep it succinct, is once you format that string and we get that string converted. Let's see, converter flow takes in one input to do a conversion and then outputs it. So if we get, so we're going to say this is the custom ID. And then I say this is ID date format. Then what it will do, I don't think I really need the input then. Because basically we can just say, you actually want to need this input. Is over here, we merge the plain text and we just do what we did before. We may have to split the string and stuff just to get the 23 and then the 9. And then you could say, hey, does this thing equal, you know, that or contain that? But that'd be the best way to do it. Does that clarify it?
Yes, that works. So in order to get the 0, 9, since I needed a 0 in the front and then the corrector string to 23.
Correct, yeah. You got it. Yep, because in this part you'd have to use the your own custom filter. And the thing to be aware when you do use a custom filter, you always have, since I defined an input here, you always have to click update inputs to get to appear. And then you can tie that to a field in your report. And then it knows, oh, I need to source that filter, or I need to source the input of that filter to this report field.
Gotcha. So I would create actually converters separately, or do I just do that like regularly? Because I can run the edit converter, for example, just the way you build it first and then run the converter, or I have to do it in the report?
You could do it either or. A converter flow is its own thing. It's a type of flow behavior. So you can actually create one outside of the report, or outside of the report, or you can go into the rule and create it that way. I like doing it that way just because then I know like I created it associated for that. But you'll have the same behavior. So when I close and save here, you'll see that I have get my converted data as a flow right here.
Gotcha. And then that would be used in the report rule. And then I can just like, it will figure it out. Okay, this month is this one. And then it would always show the data for that.
Exactly. Anytime you create additional designer elements in the process, like you'll notice that I have my filter ID by month rule, right? That got generated too. So did the get converted. So if you need to update or change any of these things, you could just change that specific rule or that specific flow, and then it'll update your process on the fly since the report's using it.
Okay, gotcha. And it's not just a general converter, which if I change it, it will mess up everybody's else.
Yeah, correct. It won't. It basically it's its own unique thing. So whatever is using that and you change it will be affected. But if like I make my own converter flow and then Jeremy makes his own converter flow and you have your own and you just change your own, it won't affect mine or Jeremy's.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yes, this helps a lot. Thank you so much again.
My pleasure. And we'll be posting this recording up on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch the whole thing if you need a recap.
I will definitely do. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Cool. All right, we got 5 minutes. Any last minute questions? All righty, I don't see any questions, so we'll go ahead and end it right there so we can get the recording mixed. But thank you so much for attending, guys. We will be having one more Lunch and Learn tomorrow with Ethan Price. He's from the support team. He'll be able to answer your questions over some decisions topics that you may be struggling with. So feel free to join that one tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But thank you so much for attending, and I'll see you guys next time.